This is Todd. Welcome back. I'm your host of The Laundry List. Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for all of those incredible people that served our country over all those years. And, that's an important day for this country. So thank you. I have a lot of good friends in the military, and we couldn't be more grateful for your service. Because God knows me and Charles are not exactly lining up to go in the military.
I mean, I would.
Because when we're living in the laundry list, we're not exactly like trying to jump into fear, right?
No, we're fighting our own wars.
Yeah, we're fighting our own internal wars.
Yes.
But hope you guys had a great weekend. The weather's still beautiful here. We're still playing pickleball, still going to our recovery laundry list meetings, and we're just, really enjoying life. So before we introduce our guest and get into the laundry list, Charles, why don't you read the 14 traits that we talk about a lot on this show?
Okay, so one, that means I'm not the guest. Okay, so
yes.
I can relax. Number two, let's read these things. So these are the traits that we developed as children and utilize later in our lives. They bring us much discomfort. And many times we're unaware we even possess them. And the first one is we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. Number two, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. Number three, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. Number four, we either became alcoholics, marry them, or both, like in your guys' case, or find another compulsive personality such as a workaholic to fulfill our sick abandonment needs. Number five, we live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. Number six, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it is easier for us to be concerned with others rather than ourselves. And this enables us to not look too closely at our own faults. Number seven, we get guilt feelings when we stand up for ourselves. Number eight, we became addicted to excitement. Number nine, we confuse love and pity and tend to love people we can pity and ultimately rescue. Number 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. And that's also known as denial. Number 11, we judge ourselves harshly and have a very low sense of self-esteem. Number 12, we are dependent personalities who are terrified of abandonment and will do anything to hold on to a relationship in order to not experience those painful abandonment feelings. And we often receive those from living with sick people who were never there emotionally for us. Number 13, alcoholism is a family disease, and we became para-alcoholics and took on the characteristics of that disease, even though we never picked up a drink. And finally, number 14, para-alcoholics are reactors rather than actors.
Thank you, Charles. Always enjoy hearing that laundry list. And if you're interested and want a red book, please contact Soraya. She will be happy to mail you out a red book. And you can learn about the other laundry list, which from time to time we talk about, which really is aggressive, rigid control in people's lives. I call it the fight or flight list. That was more of the flight list, the original laundry list. The other laundry list is more of the fight list, which is more that rigid control and managing, which eventually becomes completely unmanageable. And there's a lot of pain in both those lists. So today we have a very special guest. I know her quite well. She sleeps in my bed. No, it's not Gigi. This is the love of my life, the most amazing woman. And that's it. No, she's incredible. And she has been my wife for 1 year and 30 days. 1 year and 30 days today. So please help me introduce, welcome, love, Alex.
Thank you. Great timing there, Soraya. Thanks.
I'm so happy you're our guest today, by the way.
You are.
Charles loves giving my wife shit, by the way. I mean, we're just like, we're one big family. And it's like the more shit that Charles gives her, the more I know how much he cares and loves her.
I do.
Me too. Me too. If there was a day when you weren't giving me shit, I would think that you actually were mad at me or, something was going on. But as long as you're giving me shit and making fun of me, all is good.
When was the last time you were on, Alex? You were on, I think we just got back from New York. So when was that? That was September. Mm-hmm. So really 9 months. A lot's happened in 9 months. A lot's happened.
Yeah.
And really we want to talk about like what's happened in the last 9 months with you and the journey you've been on. And I know we're going to bring up Peter Crone because he is somebody you really listen to. So I want to hear about how how his content is changing your perception of yourself and life in general, and some of the tools he's given you, and then just some other things you've learned along your journey these last 9 months. So let's, kind of get into it.
How funny that it's 9 months, because, that's such a symbolic number of growing a child and birthing a child. So in the metaphorical sense, it's like I'd been growing something new, and I actually have this feeling of being reborn in a way into this completely new way of viewing life. You just want me to?
Well, let's talk a little bit. Like 9 months ago, I remember where you were at, and then
where was I at? I don't even
we were knee deep in the IVF journey. Mm-hmm. We were like, you were feeling a lot of emotion around that. Mm-hmm. You were doing a lot of, recovery work. You were working out quite a bit. You were just coming off your contract at Mayo. Mm-hmm. And, from where I'm sitting, and it's always easier for the outside person to see it instead of the person themselves seeing it. From where I'm sitting, and I hate to use this because I don't want to give that guy credit, but you're a lot freer than you were back then. Is from where I'm sitting. You seem a lot.
What guy credit?
Peter. Peter Crone. But I just see you seem a lot lighter, a lot happier, a lot less controlling in your life and things that you want in your life. And you just seem like I don't know, lighter. And
And, I think giving credit, other people or experiences are only the catalyst to that which is occurring inside of ourselves. Like, I'm the one that sought relief or freedom or a different perspective. And that's how everyone is. Anyone that comes to you wanting the Red Book or wanting to learn more, you can be the catalyst to what is happening inside of them. You aren't actually changing them, they're changing themselves, but we seek those things which are going to guide us into that direction that our soul is like, when our soul wants that freedom, it will take us where we need to go and to those people. And I just think just this whole past year has just really shown me that really nothing is coincidental. Everything is unfolding for us. And if we just allow it, it's like life is freaking beautiful. And like I can get caught up in the things that aren't going my way or that aren't working out the way that I think they should. And man, that's a much more difficult way to live. And it's not that I've become a person that doesn't face anything that's difficult. Like there's definitely things that are difficult, but my perspective of them is different.
Yeah. So let's put some teeth into that and really talk about some of those in real life. So like I said, 9 months ago, we were really going hard on the IVF journey. Right. I can show you the checks and wires and to prove that we were going deep down that journey. And it was very emotional for you. It was emotional for me too, but I think it was very emotional for you. And I saw you wear that quite a bit. And let's talk about the work you've done the last 9 months. Okay. Let's call it Peter Crone, the sound baths, the other journeys you're doing, the Grayson journeys. Like, let's talk about where you got to now and how you have such a different.
Okay. I'll just give you the timeline then. So we did our first round of IVF in July, and that was a pregnancy. And then a couple of weeks later, I wasn't pregnant. And I just had this, there's been times in my life where I just feel like right now, like I have to get out of this. I was so stuck in the feeling of like failure. I felt like I was too much in reality, if that makes any sense. Where sometimes I think I get too stuck in what's happening that I'm actually not seeing the bigger picture. And I got introduced by Julie to ayahuasca. And so I did my first ayahuasca journey in August, and that was the first time I'd ever done a psychedelic. And I had an experience that showed me that, and again, psychedelics only reveal that which we already are. You know, it's just peeling away some layers that are preventing us from seeing that truly we are just love. You know, we're these beings of love, and that we're here on this planet to love ourselves, to love others. And that was my first experience of actually being like understanding what love was, and really feeling like there's more to life than all these like timelines and deadlines and expectations and shoulds wants, and shouldn'ts and needs and wants. And it just kind of like slowed down time and just was like, oh, like there is nowhere to get and nowhere to be. I'm in it. Like I'm enjoying it. Like I can enjoy it. I can enjoy everything that this life is this roller coaster of a life that I'm going to be on. Like I can enjoy it. I don't have to be afraid of it. And there was a little taste of that. And then, okay, if we continue along the path, we did our second round of IVF, and that was a longer pregnancy. And I think at like 2 months I miscarried. And then that was like a shock. That was another experience, you know, experiencing like postpartum, experience the excitement and the elation of something is, you know, a baby's in there and then the baby's not, and all the feelings that come with that. And then a few weeks after that, Grayson passed, and seeing like, you know, the explosion of that event happening in the lives of everyone that I love around me. And, you know, observing that. So I know I don't feel like I'm really getting into anything yet right now. I'm just kind of like giving you the timeline, but
take your time.
So, then I started diving deeper into, experimenting with psychedelics after that event. And, I did another ayahuasca journey, which that to me, I went in with a lot of confusion about like, wait, like what all just happened in these past few months, like so much confusion. And like, I just kept getting the answers of like there is no asking why, because when you're asking why, you're stuck in that solution, you know, you're stuck trying to find the answer to something. And many times there is no answer. Many times that's just the course of life. Things just happen. Not like, I feel like it revealed to me how much in my life I'm always trying to find the answer why, you know, like even with going into like Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, or always trying to dissect why, you know, why is this happening? Why am I feeling this way? Like why? And really it was giving me the answers of like, you can kind of stop asking why, because that's just putting you in this hole of that you have to find a solution or that there is a problem even. And there really isn't. You're just experiencing life. And like sometimes it's unpleasant and sometimes it's pleasant. And then I continued, did a couple other psychedelic journeys and like got to connect with Grayson. And something happened, I would say. I took a break from doing any journeys from like, I don't know, February to April for a couple of months. And I was listening to a podcast one day, and this person was interviewing this man named Peter Crone. And I feel like at this point, I'd already like, my mind had already been expanded to this, the ability to understand that there's more to life, you know, than just like going through the motions, that there's actually like something bigger happening, you know, in the sense of like, why am I here on this earth? And what is
sorry to interrupt, but like, yeah. I think, and I'm not a Peter Crone fanatic like Alex, but the one thing I remember Peter saying, which I think you're getting into right now, is a lot of people live life from a vertical standpoint and a lot of people live life from a horizontal standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of men live it from the horizontal standpoint of just trying to capture things. Yeah. A wife, kids, business, yes, money.
Like where there's the human game where it's like, I'm going to get, you know, this job and I'm going to get this much money and I'm going to get this promotion and then this office and then this wife and then these kids and then I'm going to retire at this age and I'm going to have this much money. Like there's that human game, but then there's also like the soul experience of like expanding our soul experience here. Like I'm like losing my train of thought here a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, the way I understood it is that it's like getting to know the divinity and the immortal part of yourself,
yes,
and what that looks like you experienced in your journeys.
Yeah,
and to me, that's what life's worth living for. To me, I mean, because I've just touched on it myself.
Absolutely. And so my favorite part that Peter Crone has put into perspective is in this game where we're this human and we're also this soul, and we are trying to become closer to that which is our soul and to understand that, but also we have this beautiful opportunity to live in this human world, right? So it's sort of like, it can be like a game in a way. And his one of his quotes that I love is, life will present you with people and circumstances to reveal where you're not free. So when I look at it that way, everything that's being presented to me is another opportunity for me to become more free. So if it is causing a discomfort or a dis-ease, as he likes to say, in me, like, what is it about that it's showing me? So it's not that guy over there, cut me off and, made me hit that red light and now I'm late for work. It's that guy's just showing me that I still have this discomfort in myself, where I maybe have these expectations of like what time I need to be somewhere and I have to show up, and what are they going to think of me if I don't show up? Like, he's actually triggering all those emotions that are already within me, and finding the name of the game is to find like that freedom and that peace, so that when things happen, and he likes to say, he's gotten to this point where he doesn't mind what happens. So then when you find that freedom, you can be at a place where whatever happens is just happening. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you.
Well, and no one's doing anything to you. So like, I always like to say, like, if you're going to be late for something and it really triggers you, and you're blaming your spouse or somebody because you're late, but I, on the other hand, may not care at all that I'm late, and it doesn't trigger me. So the experience is really happening in your reality, not my reality. So it's not like my dad caused me to be sad and angry. No, my dad didn't cause anything to be sad or angry. I'm the one that is experiencing sadness and anger from an experience I had probably in childhood that I'm choosing to be sad and angry about. But it's a choice, right?
Absolutely. And when you're a child, you don't really have a choice, because you're just reacting from this. A child reacts from this completely vulnerable standpoint. A child reacts that the parent is supposed to be, this child comes in with that expectation of a parent is supposed to be loving and protective and kind and teaching and all of those things. So when this parent, who is like the child's God, higher power, when this parent is telling them that they're bad or they're wrong, like we as children, we take it to heart. And then so we carry that now with us into life. And now the next person that's supposed to be like, your spouse, that's supposed to be the one that's like protective and loving. When they treat you maybe that same way that your parent might have, you're reacting in that exact same way, which is, it's all, it's very similar to the ACA stuff. And I feel like without a guided, maybe example, it's hard for me there's so much content I feel that I've learned in these past several months that it's hard for me to just sit here and explain it well,
that's why I like using
without an organized
real examples, like the IVF example. Like, I remember you blamed yourself, then you blame me, and then you blame, like the vasectomy. It's like, and then you were looking for a reason for your anger.
Yeah. And
for your discomfort. And now I think you've gotten through it, and you're not blaming anyone. You're actually living in joy and freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing too, that, because Peter Crone works a lot with professional athletes, and one thing that he has them do is to imagine or visualize all outcomes. Because I could sit here and like, many times like people want to sit and say like, or like for me, example, I want to say like, I'm going to just be really positive on this outcome, and I'm getting pregnant, and this is going to work, and this is going to happen, and I'm only bringing in positivity, and that's it. And I'm only thinking positive. But then guess what? If it doesn't work out, and then I'm, not pregnant, then I have like disappointment or shock or whatever. So it's that being okay. And I've done meditations on every outcome, and I've even down to meditation on being at peace of not even having children, of not having children or having to adopt children or having to go through IVF. It's like being okay with every outcome, but still being committed to trying and attempting and seeing what comes out. But if I become okay with every outcome, then there is no resistance. There is no upset. There is no disappointment. There's just like, this is just what the universe is providing.
It's one of my favorite quotes. Serenity is inversely proportionate to your expectations.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, not only maybe is the universe providing that, but if you want to go on an even deeper level, like I've, really truly believe that my soul has chosen this to come into this world as Alex and to experience this world as Alex. And however it is that Alex is supposed to experience the world is how it's supposed to be. And maybe Alex isn't supposed to experience the world having children. And then when I understand that there's like a greater divine power behind that, then it's okay, because that's just what my path is, rather than me as this human being having this linear experience of, no, this is my path because this is what society says I'm supposed to do. This is what I wanted to do since I was a kid. This is how it's supposed to happen.
And you don't get to decide on where the ride goes.
Yeah.
You just get on the ride.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I'm just constantly reminded by that in a lot of different ways every, week of my life, I feel like, where it's like, okay, it's not going how I thought it would go. And so how, am I going to get resistant over this? Am I going to get angry? And sometimes I do. And I just allow that emotion to move. And that's the other wonderful thing, like this gift of being human. I think for so much of my life, I've wanted to fight being a human. I wanted to fight emotions. I wanted to, label them as bad or wrong or defective. And really it's like, oh, I'm a human. I'm okay. It's okay to have that emotion. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be hurt, but like allow it and then it can move out. But the more I'm fighting it, the more it's just staying in there and the more likely it's going to come out the next time, the universe presents me with a similar situation. And then it's going to be this never ending cycle.
So with all the work you've done and all this incredible spiritual content that you've gone down recently, I always find that it's in the initial stages of a negative emotion that you have the opportunity to turn it around. And so what are some of the tricks that you've taught yourself that when you start feeling a negative emotion, whether it's like shame or blame or anger, like what do you do to kind of stop yourself and get back into the beautiful commentary that you just gave us on your vision of life?
Well, I wouldn't stop myself. That creates more resistance. I would allow it. So let's take, for example, last week, we were exploring going down the path of adoption. And, even though I've had in meditations, like allowing adoption as being an avenue, like being open to it all, saying yes to it all, because I don't know which way that the universe will bring children if it does. But there was this, deep-seated resistance to that was underneath, that was coming up. And I was feeling very uncomfortable. I was even like crying. I was getting a little upset, like, no, I don't want to do this. And I was allowing it, like knowing like, okay, I'm really feeling very rigid about this right now. So let me just allow it. Let me just see where it's coming from. And, as I was allowing it, I was able to understand that it was coming from the fear of, if we go down the adoption route, then that means somehow in my brain, my ego was telling me like, that means that we're not going to have children naturally. If you go down this path, you're ruining all chances to have a child naturally. So don't you dare even open that door. Like it was my ego trying to protect me from getting what it really wants. And so I was able to see that and able to feel that rigidity and like just allow it. And then the tears even helped release it. And then like sort of logically and also lovingly know that like that was just my ego trying to protect me, and like I could understand that like that's my ego's job, right? My ego's job is to keep me safe or keep me alive or keep me feeling good or what, even though it doesn't usually accomplish that goal. It's usually creating more resistance or opposition. The more you become aware of like your ego operate, the more I become aware of my ego operating, the more I see that it's actually kind of self-sabotaging a lot of the times. But in this instance, if you're just asking me like, how do I get back and reset? I feel it. I don't have to numb it. I don't have to pretend like it's not there. I don't have to shove it down. I don't have to go run to my therapist and say, I have a problem. I'm feeling these feelings. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm just feeling rigid. And I understood that it was coming from that place of fear. That's it.
And not blame anybody else, because you're really good at not blaming anyone else. I see a lot of people that get upset. It's his fault. Mm-hmm. It's her fault. It's that guy. It's the government's fault. It's the whatever. They blame anything and anyone except just letting the feeling go. And there is no blame. Mm-hmm. No blame anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's just an experience that you were experiencing and an emotion that you were experiencing. And you got to let it flow through you and then get to a place after like, okay, let's get back on the ride and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because I think when you start blaming, whether it's yourself or other people, the word blame and shame go together. And I think when you start doing that, you get stuck. Well, and the ride breaks down. And then you all of a sudden like are unable to enjoy the current experience.
Well, yeah, because then you're in the victim. You're in the victim if you're blaming yourself or blaming somebody else. And if you're the victim, then you're a victim to life. You're a victim to what everything's happening to you, and you can't actually enjoy what's happening for you. And really, honestly, like everything that you think is happening to you, it's just showing you what you still have inside of you that's blocking you from really enjoying and being free in life. Like it was such a beautiful thing. Like I'm almost like welcoming now anything that feels difficult, because it's like, what is it going to show me about that I'm still holding, like that I'm still holding on to?
And I'm more grateful for the people that show me where I'm not free and show me where I still have some pain and suffering, because those are the people that help me grow. The people that make me feel good all the time, like, okay, I'm not really growing there. But the people that really challenge me and challenge like my moods, those are the people like, thank you so very much, you know? And Charles, I know we've talked a lot about like gossip, because I know in the recovery rooms, gossip's a big thing. And when you start talking shit about other people, whether it's a coworker, your boss, a friend, and you talk shit about them, you're only causing pain for yourself.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
And you're not becoming your true self, which to me is to become the most loving human being I can to myself and others, period. And when I start talking shit about others, I'm moving away from that because I'm scared to love myself.
And then how do we feel after we have those? Like sometimes I've even caught us like, oh right. Shit, Todd, we're gossiping.
Shit, we're getting awfully close.
Yeah, we're starting to gossip right now. Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, if we go a little bit further, now we're fully gossiping. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, I love to think about gossip like, you know, why do we gossip? To feel better about ourselves. So when we do gossip, like, it's like, ooh, what am I not feeling good about myself about right now?
Yeah,
like
it's a sign. It's a signal.
Right? Or am I seeing something in that other person that I have within myself that I need to criticize right now? Because ultimately I'm like criticizing myself or wanting myself to change. Like, always. It's like, you know, then you can like allow it sort of in that playful way of like, oh, how interesting, you know, how interesting I needed to say that about that person, and not have judgment of ourselves. Like that's a huge one right now for me, is like, whatever does come up, we don't have judgment over it and resistance. We just have observation and curiosity and you know
interest. What fits and doesn't fit. Like I know when I fully gossip today, I don't feel good about myself, and I feel a physical sensation. Where I did that for years in sobriety, and I felt nothing. Like I was way okay with it. Like, oh my God, you know, like that guy, and you know that guy in business or that girl, like no problem.
Well, I'll even add something to that. Not that you didn't feel it, but that was actually at that time you were at such a lower level that was actually making you feel better about yourself. So and now that you feel good about yourself because you're at a higher level, it's actually making you feel worse. Right. So it's just where you were, you know, energetically at that time. If you were at this lower level, not feeling good about yourself, then of course gossip will make you feel better. But now if you feel better about yourself, well, then of course gossip is going to make you feel not as good. Yeah.
And when I hear people gossiping, a lot of times, you know, I'll say, well, it sounds like that person's going through a really difficult time. I go, why don't we like try to send some love and healing energy to them? And, you know, sometimes people are like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah, let's do that. You know, but they weren't even done assassinating this person, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I feel so much better when I do that. Like I have a good friend who's dating someone, and for a minute I had a resentment against her, and it's like I started sending her love and healing energy in my visualizations, and it's amazing how much my view and my interaction with her changed without her knowing any of this. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I really like this person. Oh my God, this person really has like a lot of love inside of them. Mm. So it just goes to show me it's all me. Yeah. It wasn't them. It wasn't something she did or said. It's something I did.
Yeah, or if you wanted to go into deeper reflection, what is it that about her that's making you uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. You know, because she's showing you a mirror that there's something inside of you that's very uncomfortable with however she behaves or acts. And what is it? Is she reminding you of somebody you dated in the past?
Yeah. Well, it's control.
Is she making you feel insecure?
It's control. It's knowing the answer, you know, and whenever I see someone that does give me a little discomfort, it is 90% of the time, it's something I don't like in myself. I say, you spot it, you got it. You know, if there's something in somebody else that I'm having a hard time accepting, and I go back to the example of my dad. Like, I became my dad, unbeknownst to me. I became my dad in so many ways. And when I see him either gossiping or talking shit or flirting or whatever he's doing, I'll be like, I can't believe he's doing this. I can't, you know, like, and it'll bug me, but I'm like, oh, wait, that was me, either now or before, you know? And it's like, but again, I thank that person, because every person that shows me who I don't want to be helps me become the person I want to be.
Mm-hmm. And I think even when you then accept, or like for me, like if I then start accepting that person, like as we start evolving and, you know, finding healing and dropping all of those, you know, characteristics that we don't like, but then we see other people around us, like family members that still have it. It's almost like not surprising. It's like, well, of course they're still acting like that. Like that's how a lot of humans act if they're not evolving like spiritually. Like, I wouldn't expect them to act any different. And then you have love and compassion for them. And then you have love and compassion for yourself when you were at that level. You know, because then if we're going to judge where they're at, then of course we're still going to judge ourselves of where we're at or where we've been. So it's not having any judgment for wherever anybody is and where we've been and where we are. And so then there's no resistance about he shouldn't be that way, or why is he still like that? Or let me tell him what I've experienced so he can be at a better level. You know, even though he hasn't asked to hear any of that and isn't willing to hear any of it, now we're just putting upon them how we think they should be.
And no one's asking me for my opinion either. So I got to be careful of that, because if people aren't asking me for my opinion, I shouldn't be giving it. Right. So, you know, I'll take an example. Like last night we had, you know, family over, and there was 10 people there, and they were there for 3 hours. Like, I did not feel like the 7 deadly sins and the gossip part of the ego was present. I felt like it was sharing love and excitement and a little bit of competitiveness with each other, right? Like, it was a very beautiful experience. So it's interesting that as we go down the road, it's like, and I used to like bash people that went to silent retreats. And I have a lot of friends that have done them over the years. Well, that's so stupid. You know, why are these guys doing that? They're bored. They got nothing to do. But now I get it. Like, I get it, because so much of what we say is unnecessary and the ego just trying to protect itself. It's really just trying to protect itself, defend itself. Like we just talked about putting someone else down, knowing the answer, knowing what's best for you, knowing what's best for everybody else, like blah, blah, blah.
Right. So isn't that funny how, you know, your ego, although you feel like you might have evolved, the ego is still saying, well, that person shouldn't be gossiping. And I'm going to step in. I'm going to show them how great I am, that I don't gossip now. And I'm going to tell, you know, and it's like, well, that's still ego saying that this person is supposed to be a certain way. It's like, you know, one thing, and I'm going to bring up Peter Crone again, but one thing he says is it's like the same, if you're expecting somebody to behave a certain way, it's the same thing as looking at the sun and saying, it shouldn't be up there right now. It should be way over there. Exactly. Like, who are you to say where the sun is supposed to be in the sky right now, in the sense of who are you to say how somebody else is supposed to be behaving?
It's so true. And to me, that's like the next level of where I'm at, is really letting everybody be exactly who they are and embracing them and loving them exactly where they're at and who they are.
It's freaking beautiful.
And I think that's why we have such an amazing marriage 1 year and 30 days later. I think it's because we do let each other be who we truly are and not try to change the other person.
Yeah. Like, let me tell you, it's hard for me to watch you still like sometimes be sad and like to have complete acceptance of where you are in your grieving process,
right,
and allowing that, because there's times when, like, you know, I feel so great and I'm like, come on, like, let's be happy today, and you're like, you might not be there for that day, and you're doing an amazing job with your grieving process. I'm not saying that you're not, but it's still a grieving process, right. And for me to allow that is like, that's, you know, like, that can be difficult sometimes for me, and to just be like, he is where he is, and I'm going to be where I am. And like, and of course we're going to go through many other life experiences together, and to expect that we're always going to be on the same page, and you should be happy when I'm happy and you should be sad when I'm sad, is asinine, you know, like, just allow it.
And that's the thing. It's like, when I used to be sad or angry or any negative emotion, and my partner was like super happy and vivacious and just, you know, excited, I'd be like, I'm
gonna have to make this.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, it's like, you know, can you leave now? You know, it's like, no. Let them have their joy. Let them, you know, not everyone has to be where I'm at, you know, because that's so selfish. Like, everyone has to be where I'm at. If I'm happy, okay, everyone can be happy. Yeah, that's right. If I'm sad, then, you know, then everyone has to be sad.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it's all, you know, in the same sense, it's also ridiculous for me to think that, you know, I cannot, like, to always be happy. It's like, that's also not, like, just how there's an inhale and there's an exhale, you know, there's happiness and there's sadness. And for me to sit over here and think, like, all I want to do is just, you know, inhale all the time because it feels so good. Like, well, then I'm not going to be able to exhale and get rid of what isn't serving me, and I'm not going to be able to survive. You know, it's like, I can't always try to stay in that mindset of like, everything's amazing and awesome. And to also have that enjoyment, if you will, of the sadness in life, or the tragedy, or the disappointment, or the difficulties. And that's sort of where I've come to in this whole, like, between the psychedelic journey, between the Peter Crone, like, freedom journey, is like, all of it's beautiful. It's all in the container of love. You know, life, everything that we're experiencing is all in a container of love. All of the difficulties, all of the sadness, all of the happiness, all of the, you know, rewards that we get in life, everything is in just this container of love. So in those times when I feel like things aren't working out, or I feel alone, or I feel left behind or abandoned, it's like, I'm actually not, because I'm still in this container that is love. It's all, love is all of it. It's all of it.
So here's an interesting question. So when you're experiencing a negative emotion, sadness, pain, something that is causing discomfort, and I've really gone around with this question personally for a long time, where do you draw the line on sharing that experience with your friends and family? And how much of that do you just try to work out yourself?
I think, I don't know if there's like I can't think of like, there's no black or white with it. I feel like there's no, like, this is when I would share it and this is when I wouldn't. First of all, it always depends on the person it is that I'm talking to, and whether or not they're capable of even hearing what I want to share. You know, one thing in this process is learning, like, who's capable of even hearing this. Like, just because I'm having these revelations doesn't mean that everybody's able to hear it, or just because I'm having this difficult, you know, like, I can't share everything with my parents, and I accept they're just where they are and their mindset and their beliefs, and I can share with them other things, and I'm okay with that. But I do feel like a lot of this, you know, these past 9 months has been a lot of more introspection and a lot of more receiving information rather than like going out and seeking it from any other person or place. I mean, besides listening to Peter Crone, but also like a lot of the internal journeys that I've been doing. I think for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm actually listening to myself, and I'm actually learning who I am, like who Alex is. I don't think I ever really learned who I was. I think I was always looking for people to tell me who I was, you know, even seeking in like self-help groups or therapy and getting labels, these labels of who you are. And this is the solution to that. And not, and now in this more internal, introspective journey that I've been on is more of like really listening to myself and really feeling what it is that I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that, and then allowing it to release and be let go. So it's been a very different journey.
And I think that gives you more power.
Absolutely. I know for me, and less fear.
If I'm
less afraid
if I'm going
of
through a
myself.
very difficult time, which is last year, there's been several of those, and it's like I can give that to all my friends. And I think it's important to let your friends and family know where you're at. But if I'm going to them for like validation and for comfort too much, too excessively, I find that I lose that power to heal and comfort myself and also see it logically and see it clearly myself. Mm-hmm. So, and like I always tell guys that I work with, in these programs, like, you can share it with a couple people, me and maybe your therapist or a good friend. But if you're running to like 10, 15 people and you're just dumping on them on how you've been wronged and how this emotion's overtaking you, that's going to start feeding itself in momentum. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to feel worse about yourself. And it's going to take a life of its own.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between sharing with somebody what you're going through and like seeking validation for how you're feeling, of like, oh yeah, you should be mad or you should be, sad.
But I'm so clever. I'm going to share with the people that are going to give me the response I'm looking for. We used to call this sponsor shopping, right? It's like, no, I want whoever I'm going to share this with. Yeah, she needs to get the fuck out.
Yes.
You've been wrong. She's treating you with abuse and trauma. Of course you need to get rid of her. Mm-hmm. And I found now I've tried not to give advice to anybody. Mm-hmm. I really try hard. I try to share my experience and like where I'm at and what I've done in that situation. But to tell someone what to do, I find is detrimental to their journey, and to mine.
Absolutely, because we don't know what's best for them. I don't know what's best for you. All I know is like you are living exactly the life that you're supposed to be living right now, and you can't do anything wrong. What do you think you need to do? Okay, do it. See how it works. Right. Oh, if you don't like the way that happened, well, then try something different. Like there is no wrong, there is no right. Like you're just experiencing life as Charles. So like, go for it. Go experience it. If you're upset and you want to do that, okay, let's see how that works out. And if it didn't work out very well, then you get to try it another way. And another, and another, and another. Life never stops. And it's like beautiful to watch and beautiful to experience it that way. So, yeah.
So what are some of the things you're really looking forward to in life right now?
Ooh, I would say, I would say kind of my theme of this year is, I wouldn't say theme, but kind of the mentality I've had a little bit is like walk into that which makes me feel uncomfortable, like going into being uncomfortable. I think a lot of my life, I've tried to resist that which is uncomfortable. And this year I'm like, I don't want to be afraid of what's uncomfortable. And so it's like, doing some challenging work this year. I'm going to go on a long ayahuasca retreat at the end of July. And like, I know that's going to be very challenging because there's always lessons to be learned, but I feel like it's this metaphor for life. Like whenever I go into a ceremony, like it's always a metaphor for life. It's always like, there's going to be uncomfortable times, like, but you just got to walk through it. You just got to, have patience. And there's always these like little reminders in these 4 hours for what like life will be like in the next 40 years, And so I just want to like remember that like life will be uncomfortable, but that's another beautiful aspect of it is like we get to walk through it and it's not always uncomfortable, and there will be something beautiful that comes through that uncomfortability. But if I'm constantly running away from it, I never really get to experience that which the universe is trying to bring to me. So that's one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to and on this fertility journey, saying yes to adoption, saying yes to IVF, saying yes to trying to have babies naturally, saying yes to just not having children right now, like just saying yes to it all and being okay with it all. And I do want to start, maybe helping other people to see things if they're, when they, I have friends or acquaintances that have come up to me and, expressed this like place of tension that they're in life. And I just love helping them to see things from a little bit of a different perspective of like that they can't do anything wrong and that life is just happening for them and not to them and all these sorts of things. And you see like the light kind of come out behind their eyes and they're like, there's this like sigh of relief and they realize like, oh yeah, it's not, I'm making a bigger deal out of everything. It's really not that big of a deal. So I'd like to maybe, be able to continue helping people in that way, which, I don't know how it's going to present itself other than like right now with just like friends reaching out. But I feel like there's another avenue that's going to be coming for me to be able to.
Well, I know you always want to help people. And to me, that's probably the back half of my life is like, helping people is the most important thing I can do. And it's not just so I can help myself, because even though that is a byproduct of it, I just love helping people. I really do. I think for me, it's a way to express my love. That's why I want more kids. People are like, you're 55, you want more kids? What are you, nuts? I'm like, I have so much love to give. Mm-hmm. I mean, so much love to give, Some of my best moments and experiences in my life were when my kids were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, running around and being a big kid with them, right? I mean, Charles, I know you experienced that. And
yesterday.
I mean, it's just so fun. It's just such a incredible part of life.
Yeah. And if part of being human is to like have fun and enjoy being human, like if we're getting joy out of watching other people find freedom and watching children be curious, like, all right, let's bring more joy into the world. Why stop? Why stop?
So you've been a nurse for a long time, mostly bedside. And you've helped a lot of people, and you're an excellent nurse, I must say. Tell me why you decided to become a Pilates instructor.
Okay, well, I didn't want to go back into the hospital system right now. Sort of wanted to step out of, with the whole fertility journey, it was harder to work 12-hour shifts and have a more laborious job. But, these past few months, really getting in touch with like who Alex is and really learning about how much she loves to laugh and how curious she is. And she just loves, experiencing new things. I mean, one part of younger Alex was I used to pretend to be an aerobics instructor. From a very young age, my mom worked in a gym and I would just stand at the glass watching the women teach aerobics. And this was like early 90s. So they had the full spandex thong leotards, like thick, like leg warmers. And I would go home and I would stack up my little like Barbie, I had these little like cubicles that like I put all my Barbies in and I would like stack them up and I would pretend they were like aerobic steps and I would teach aerobics. And then through elementary school, if I had girlfriends over, I would be like, okay, we're all going to do aerobics today. And I would like teach them a class. And I don't know, I just wanted to be an aerobics instructor. And so I've sort of carried that with me in the back of my mind is like one day I'd love to teach fitness. And so in light of getting in touch with like who Alex really is, which I believe was, me at like 4 or 5 years old, that's the true Alex, just wanting to have fun and watch people move their bodies and move my body and find freedom and love in that. So I'm like, let's just do that. Let's go down that path and let's teach fitness and help people become more free in their bodies and more healthy in their bodies. And there's also this creative element to it, creating choreography and like something fun, that's not super stressful and that kind of connects me back to childhood Alex.
Yeah. And it's good for you. I mean, I think half the people that don't do Pilates end up with this incredible medical illnesses later in life. And, I think Pilates can avoid a lot of the forthcoming situations that these people find themselves in.
Yeah. Or help you come back to health. A lot of people come back after, injuries or surgeries or, that do have illnesses that want to try to get their bodies, back to health. But, if you want to go down the standpoint of true health, I feel like it all starts in the mind. And so Pilates does have a mind-body connection. It is more of the body part, but that's the body aspect. And I feel like as I continue also on this path of wanting to help people free their minds, that's the mind aspect. And I can work in the body and the mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Alex, anything else I always like to ask the question, what would you tell your 10-year-old self right now with everything you've learned over the years, and especially these last few years? Like, what would you tell your 10-year-old self if you can give your 10-year-old self some advice in a parallel universe?
I would just say, like, you can't do anything wrong, just keep being curious, keep, doing things that make you laugh. And, when you're having a hard time or when you're feeling like you're getting in trouble or whatever it is, like, just remember you can't do anything wrong. Cause I think I carried with me for a long time that, I was wrong, or I was bad, or, being me wasn't acceptable. And I would just love to tell her, like, oh, you are so acceptable. Just like keep being, don't lose who you are and just enjoy. There's nothing wrong you can do.
That's great advice. Great advice. Well, thank you very much for coming on. We hope you had a great experience listening to this podcast. If you want to get a red book, please email us. If you want to come on the show, please email us. That email is
thelaundrylistpodcast@gmail.com.
My voice just changed real quickly. I'm taking some hormones, some pills, and it's coming out in my voice. So please rate us, view us, send us around. And we're now on YouTube, so you can subscribe to us on YouTube. I listen to most of my podcasts on YouTube and Spotify. So please check us out, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And we will have an awesome week. And you please be nice to my friend this week.